We're never going to stop unless we are deliberate about taking these micro breaks and using those as a way every single day, multiple times. I mean, honestly, as many as you can, to recharge, to refocus, and being deliberate. Like, map them out, time block them into your day. All right, it is Q1 of 2024. That means new goals, more growth, and upgrading your day-to-day workflow. That's why I want to talk to you today about the HubSpot Sales Hub. This thing is basically an all-in-one platform to help you get out of that muck of scheduling everything manually, digging through data, tracking down leads, probably not following up with things. Sales Hub will flip everything on its head. This thing's an easy-to-use suite of powerful tools. It's going to help you convert contacts into customers quicker, accelerate sales with smart sequences, manage deals with simple and powerful tools, and help you forecast a lot smarter. It actually uses this new AI-powered app called ChatSpot. Combines ChatGPT with HubSpot's smart CRM. Basically, you can ask this thing to create more revenue for you and deliver it as well. So you can ask it to track down contacts, competitors, summarize sales, and actually draft emails for you. So now's the time to close more deals and get on track. Make Q1 your best yet. Explore the new HubSpot Sales Hub and AI tools like ChatSpot at hubspot.com/sales. Hey, what's happening? Joe Fier here, another episode of the Hustle and Flowchart podcast. And this time around, I'm kind of fresh from a vacation I took for a week away from my business, a week away from checking email, being in the middle of everything, even Slack messages from my team. I was kind of a ghost, and I think they appreciated that, So at the end of the day, I took a week away, went over to Kauai with my family over in Hawaii. And it was epic. It's my wife, it was my two daughters. One of them is 3 months old, another 4.5. So, it was a little gamble on how that would go as, flying the 6+ hours it took to get there and back and then jumping all around. It was incredible. And I had a lot of breakthroughs, and I want to share some of these with you. And there was the thing that stands out to me. I was over in Hanalei. It's on the north part of Kauai. A beautiful part. If you ever get out there, Hanalei Bay in the town of Hanalei. This place is called Slow Yourself Down. That's the name of the store, and it's basically a store that just sells a bunch of swag with that on there. Slow Yourself Down. And I loved it. I think it was towards the end of the trip that we actually found this place. I ended up just I wanted to buy everything in the store, but I couldn't get myself to do it. I bought some stickers, a bunch of stickers. So nice reminders for me to see things in certain places, like slapped one in my water bottle, just little reminders. And it got me really thinking about, the episode I put out a couple weeks ago, right before I left, talking about intentional slowing down and building buffers and pacing. But also now coming back from this trip, I was able to successfully detach myself for a week in a business that is very high touch. It's very digital. I could take this laptop anywhere I go in the world and be attached and ready to record an episode, even if I wanted to. Different background, but that doesn't matter. I would be able to be tapped in anywhere. And a lot of us have that freedom, but also it's ball and chain, let's be honest. It's something that allows, or maybe, it has our mind switched on at all points. Even this watch I'm wearing, the Apple Watch, all these devices, everything's synced up these days. And just imagine what that's doing to your mind. You're literally on all the time, unless you take the deliberate approach to slow down and embrace pacing and slowing yourself down. There is a difference. When I came back, even though I wasn't well rested, mind you, I was traveling with 2 young kids, and it wasn't like we went crazy and did all these amazing adventures or sat on beaches all the time. Like, honestly, it was slow. And I had to purposely take everything slow there. I'm one to want to go hike, my wife, and go explore, go to beaches, do crazy stuff, and go out and snorkel and wanted to wind surf and learn all that. I was meeting people out there, but I paused, and I didn't have that FOMO in my mind of like, oh, I got to get it all done. And I feel like a lot of us, we take that mindset into business or an opportunity that shows up. We say yes, we're quick to commit. We're quick to not see what that ripple effect can look like for not only our business, but where our energy is being sapped and how that can take away from our physical, our emotional, our mental states, and ultimately could lead to burnout, could lead to a whole bunch of stuff we've talked about that can trickle into a bad place. And there's a lot of proactive steps we can take. And that's what I want to talk about here, where you can legitimately master the art of slowing down and pacing for yourself in your business, because a lot of us have this thinking that can happen one day. Like, I'm going to build this thing where one day I could step away and, sit on the beach and relax. Well, that's a fallacy. You're not going to want to sit on the beach and get fat and ugly, and not ugly, but you probably would, because you'd be burnt all the time, sipping margaritas and just not doing anything. Like, we're not made for that. We're animals. We're driven animals as entrepreneurs, legitimately. And I believe that. So the mind's not going to slow down, but we can definitely be intentional and take these proactive steps to slow ourselves down so we can prevent that energy being sapped from our physical state, the emotional state, mental state, and then show up better and remember that everything we're doing is a marathon. I mean, life it's long, it's short, however you want to frame it, we create that. But at the end of the day, it's a marathon. We're not sprinting. Even if we feel like there's a deadline, it's a marathon. And if we're not seeing it that way, then we're quick to react. We're not deciding. We're allowing other things to kind of sap that or make that decision for us. So a few things I want to talk about here that are actionable for you that has worked for me, not only in this trip or prepping for it or even after, but just in general to be proactive in terms of pacing. It was Tina Marie. I had her on the podcast early last year, maybe about this time last year. And I highly recommend listening to that. We'll link it in the show notes. And she is incredible at pacing. She talks all about pacing. That's what she tells all of her clients, her coaching clients, and people pay her really good money for that. So a few of the things that come to mind here is straight up a time audit. Like, start to implement a way where you're legitimately tracking your time for at least the key activities and identifying and figuring out what are the things that you end up doing, and being brutally honest. Like we talked about time tracking. I had Dan Martell on here, and he talked about tracking your time in terms of, figuring out your earnings. James Schramko talks about that as well. He's another one I got to have back on. It's been too long. So, tracking these things, these habits, things that you do throughout the day. I'm not just talking entrepreneurial business stuff, but figure out a way. And I think for me, it's pen and paper. Like the tools, the tracking tools, the apps and all that stuff, I feel like they get buried. I get overwhelmed and I forget to even turn them on. But when I have something, and I always have a notebook in front of me, and I've actually started to place something on my wall where it's taped on the wall where I'm tracking everything. It's the activities, it's my habits, it's the things I'm doing. And I might not always remember in the moment, but I'll audit, and because it's right in front of me in my notebook as well, I kind of track in both places. So I always am able to capture that. Pen and paper is the key. And I'll go back and put a time to it, like a rough time or duration of how long I took for that activity or that habit, that thing that I was doing. And again, I'm thinking of personal stuff I'm doing. I can look at my calendar is another way to audit this. But also, just throughout my day, checking emails, looking at messages, pontificating on something that took way too long, or even going on a walk. Like, it could be great stuff. It could be kind of like, oh, wow, I shouldn't have done that. Being brutally honest and knowing what you're doing and actually tracking that stuff, then you can do a full and true honest audit of yourself. I mean, who else is going to be honest to yourself? It's up to you. It's up to me. And I think that's a big breakthrough, is to slow down enough to feel like, what the hell am I really doing? Like, what's that awareness of the now? Because whatever you're doing now usually isn't going to be the thing that gets you to where you want to go. Whatever that vision is for yourself, that North Star, or, the goals that you're setting for yourself, you likely, or probably guarantee, I think I'll go on a limb and say that I guarantee you're going to have to change some stuff that you're doing right now. So auditing that list, doing a time audit specifically on these habits, spend a couple weeks doing this and get brutally honest, start seeing these patterns, and then figure out what are these things that you got to adjust to align with where you want to go. So definitely doing that as a step one to figure out where you're at right now. You got to do it. And it's been said before in so many ways, but with this framing of burning out and eliminating unproductive habits and activities that you're kind of just mindlessly doing. A lot of us have those things. We all have those things, let's be honest. It's time to cut those things out and be very intentional. Okay, I'm going to pause this really fast and shout out another podcast that's on the HubSpot Podcast Network, the audio destination for business professionals. This one's a podcast hosted by someone I've followed for years. I've read his books. His name is Donald Miller, and he hosts the podcast called Business Made Simple. The whole premise there with that show is that it helps take the mystery out of growing your business. And one of the recent episodes is one with Alex Hormozi, someone else I've followed for years now. And it's all about talking about the uncertainties that we're living in right now in 2024 and beyond, but how we can take our business and shore it up. There's actually 4 principles Alex shares, and Don gets into it as well. So definitely recommend checking that out. So go listen to Business Made Simple, hosted by Donald Miller, wherever you get your podcasts. Are you juggling multiple tools to run your online business? Well, thankfully, there is a better way, and it's called Kartra. So with Kartra, boosting your income has never been easier, and that's because it's the ultimate all-in-one platform for online success, offering every tool you need to grow your business. So imagine building pages, funnels, courses, autoresponders, and checkouts all in one place, and all for one affordable price. So the best part about Kartra is that you can automate just about everything. So it's like having a team of experts working around the clock to help you earn more. Now's the time to streamline and scale your business. Visit hustleandflowchart.com/Kartra for a free 30-day trial. That's hustleandflowchart.com/KARTRA. And that leads us into the next thing. And I've talked about this before. And next week, I'll be bringing on 2 buddies of mine who are, I've had them on individually on the podcast, but now we did this this roundtable discussion, the 3 of us, and Trevor Turnbull and Mike Prince, and they head up Extremely Conscious. This is the men's group. It's really like a small group of us that have come together to really lift each other up and be accountable with what we do with ourselves every single day. And these are the micro habits. These are the micro things that we do. So I'm bringing them on to talk about a lot of this stuff. And definitely, if you're interested, check out extremelyconscious.com. They have great resources in a Facebook group that's catered to men, but there's a women's thing in the works as well. But for now, if you're a man and if you wanted to dive down and join that group, you can do it. Anyone can go on there, and there's some cool guides to check out at extremelyconscious.com. But this next point here goes into tracking. Like, what are the micro habits, the things that you can now start to replace, those unproductive habits from step 1 or think number 1 I just talked about. How do we be intentional now and replace those things with activities that will start to align where you want to go? And, I had a previous episode or 2, I've talked about my micro habits and the things that I track. And I don't do it as much, the intentional tracking, but, things like getting enough sleep. I don't always do that, but at least I'm intentional about it and I aim for it. A 7-hour, sleep. Drinking enough water, walking enough. I track everything, and my wife and I are always, we're taking calls on walks now instead of standing behind the screen all the time. Like, that's a switch, and something, I just did it today with someone, Stacy Lauren, when we had a call. I was like, hey, let's get away from the Zoom fatigue, and let's go on a walk together virtually, and it's all through the phone. I think there's a lot of power in that. So think about how to shift these things that you might just be doing and sapping all your energy, and go do something else with it. Figure out a break from that. Move your body, do squats, do push-ups, have a certain number that you're trying to reach every single day. There's a lot of these things back to the physical, emotional, and mental. What are the habits and the things that you can do? I guess it's the third point, are creating these micro breaks for yourself. Like, figuring out intentionally, and this goes again into auditing yourself and auditing your time, and how do you create these pauses, these moments of pacing, throughout your day where you can step away from your work, you can step away from the doing of things and go outside and lay down, like find a patch of grass and bask in the sun and feel phenomenal. Like that's one of the things I love doing the most, and I don't do it enough. Another thing is playing with my dog in the backyard or my kids. I mean, just like literally just being silly, having fun, freeing my mind from the to-dos and all this never-ending, commitments that we all have as adults. I mean, as just driven people, that's endless, and we're never going to stop unless we are deliberate about taking these micro breaks and using those as a way every single day, multiple times. I mean, honestly, as many as you can, obviously still get stuff done, but use them to recharge, to refocus, and being deliberate, like map them out, time block them into your day. And I talked about time blocking on that episode a couple weeks ago. A couple tools I love to do. I did it today as well, is I took a quick 25 minutes, I think, yoga nidra or NSDR. I throw in my headphones. I find a quiet place for 15 to 25 minutes or so, and depending on the video. And what it does is it takes me on this like edge of sleeping, but it's kind of like the subliminal kind of state where I'm just like floating feeling, and I drift off, but it's not a total like I'm snoozing, drooling, It's a way to quickly recharge and recalibrate things just like in an instant. It's wild. So like that's one of my favorite micro breaks, is to do that. I literally did it this morning, and because I wasn't feeling super charged up, woke up really early. I was like, you know what, I'm gonna knock this out for 20 minutes. I felt great. So I highly recommend something like yoga nidra or something like that. Going on walks, take your calls outside, away from screens, is just a recharge in itself. Just think about what it's doing to your eyes. You're getting sun, you're seeing distance. Like there's a lot of science behind this about how your eyes work, and just like literally you'll think differently. So those are breaks that you can do. And then, all of this, I think a big thing you can do is to create a toolkit for yourself. Like what are a whole bunch of things that you can start to establish in your day, and like almost have, I don't know if it's a checklist. For me, it's the checklist. It's that kind of micro habit list, but I also have, lists in YouTube. I have videos I tend to go to often, like breath work videos. I think of these as like my resilience toolkit. Like, what are the things I can just go to and know when I'm feeling low in energy, I can do something like these breath with Sandy videos and look for like an energy video that's like 8 minutes. Boom, I got 8 minutes. We all got 8 minutes. Or I'll do a Wim Hof breath video, and I'll go outside and do, again, 10 minutes or so. And boom, I got more energy now. Like that's going to bring my physical, emotional, and mental state like better. NSDR, like I said, could be doing Sally up, Sally down, going on walks, playing. I think playing is a big one that us as adults, we tend to forget. And when we start to play more and incorporate that, that's literally pausing. That's self-care. That's stress management. Like all these things will make you more resilient. And it was actually, I'll reference this too. This is the NVIDIA CEO. There was a video he put out. I think he was talking to the Stanford graduates this year. I think it was just from the other week. And he said something about mental health, and he believes that that's the wrong approach, like feeling that, oh, this is a mental health thing, or like I got to address my mental health or these things. And I don't know my take on it so far, but he basically says instead of mental health and almost like giving it a thing of its own power, it's to take your own power and turn it into, how do we build mental resilience? And I would take it as far as like, how about emotional resilience, physical resilience? Like, how are you going to build resilience when shit hits the fan in your life, in your business? An unexpected call happens, someone's sick, someone died. I mean, like, I've lost a lot of people in the last 5 years. I feel like I've built a big, strong muscle of resilience in the emotional state of things, and knowing how to navigate tough stuff. And I'm not just patting myself on the back because I wouldn't want that, but I've learned a lot of what keeps me in the game, having kids, like there's a lot of things I can kind of point to and be like, wow, I'm still standing and I'm still happy and I'm still showing up, doing the work, even though I might not feel like it. The resilience piece is key. So figuring out what are the things that will keep you in the game physically, emotionally, mentally, and what's that toolkit? Like start to build out these things and make them obvious, because it's the times when you're feeling in the dumps, when you're feeling burnt out, overloaded, not taking these micro breaks and pauses and pacing. I feel like that's the toughest time to remember what to do. Like you just get in the zone so much. You get in this flow, and maybe not in a good way, of just the doing, and you forget about these things, these activities you can do for yourself. Literally just going outside sometimes is so tough. Or for me, I like to carry a kettlebell around a lot. I'm like this crazy guy around the neighborhood now carrying a 35-pound kettlebell. Hopefully that goes to my 55 pretty soon. And I'm like carrying it up and down hills and listening to podcasts or walking with my daughter. I did that last night. It was awesome. And like just little things like that. Like, I don't know, I'm working out, I'm getting outside, I'm communicating, I'm chatting, I'm having fun. It's kind of silly. It's kind of weird. Someone drives by and holding a kettlebell, basically a big cannonball, walking down the street. Like, who does that? So, I don't know. All these little things I feel like shake me out of the normal doing. So there are things I have in my toolkit. And at the end of the day, we got to celebrate ourselves. So I'll end it on this, is that we got to celebrate the progress and the successes and even the failures. I would take it there as well, because a lot of us don't like to recognize the dumps that we've been in, the low points where we felt like it was super dark and we didn't have anything. We didn't have a way out, didn't know a way out. But, somehow we did. We found it out. We found out how to get out of there. And again, it goes into resilience and reminding ourselves we can do this. Like we can do this. You're not alone. And knowing to celebrate all of this, celebrate that progress, because that's growth. Celebrate the successes and know that, it doesn't matter how small it is. It's all about maintaining that momentum and that motivation to keep moving. And again, it's a marathon, not a sprint. It's all about that perspective, that shift that you can make for yourself. And I feel like this is how it's the clarity, and it's what's worked for me. It's what's worked with a lot of people, entrepreneurs that I hang out with. I've taken a lot of notes, and this is where, Mike and Trevor, I'll have them on next week. We talk a lot about this stuff. So, I'm a big proponent of get out of this burnout mindset, this feeling of hustle and grind all the time, and turn into more of this pacing, the flow, and the being side of things. So I hope that this episode gives you some ideas on how you can master this thought of pacing and integrate it not only in your business in the now, and not wait for the future when you have this dream of doing it someday. Like integrate all of this right now, because it'll make you a better entrepreneur. You'll be more successful, make more money, be happier and all that. And you'll be a better human. You'll show up better in all aspects of life. So, curious to hear if I left anything out, if there's anything that you would recommend that works for you. Put it in the comments in YouTube. And if you're not on YouTube, please go look up my name, Joe Fier, Joefier. You could find me there. I'm making more videos. I'm doing more shorts. Please consider subscribing there as well. I definitely appreciate all of that. If you're listening on the podcast, go hit subscribe, leave a review, a rating. I would love to see that. And leave your thoughts, honest thoughts. I want to hear what you think here. And you know what? I love dropping it, but my email is joe@hustleandflowchart.com. Send me your thoughts. I would love to hear it. I'd love to connect with you. All right. So until next time, thank you.